Peace and Pan-Africanism. This is Dr. Umar Ifatunde coming to you live and direct, New York City, Ethiopian World Federation 2026 conference. The time has come for the lions to tell our own story, and this is the lion's voice.
Empress man, alliance, universally unfold, be told. Blessed love, this is Etege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lions, for I voices and stories to be told. This is the lion's voice, Rastafari.
We're endorsing the lion's voice. Big up Raspasi. Say it.
Big up Raspasi.
It is time for the lion to tell our own story. Yes, sir.
There is a land far, far away. There is no night. There's only day. Look into the book of life. And you will see that there's a land far, far away. Raspasi, that there's a land far, far away. Speak lion. Speak lion. Roll lion. Roll every time.
I will never stop, hail the Most High. And I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute, ya. Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. The one will laugh, I'm same one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Rasta Jai representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. Haile Selassie.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamaya representing. I will say, hear the Lion Voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice. Yeah. I shall lift up eyes unto the hills from whence cometh I help. Them could never conquer the mountains, thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world, now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, front to us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Tafari. When he was grown, in airplanes he fly. They call him Tafari. Lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Tafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. A time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Tafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Tafari. When he was grown, in airplanes he fly. Then Tafari, the lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Then Tafari, read the Revelation.
iRoots Records, an online shop for reggae and dub vinyl, CDs and Rastafari books. Rastafari owned and operated for over 15 years. We ship worldwide. We have many titles from Frontline publications in stock. We have 50 plus Akabeka Midnight titles, which we believe is the most of any shop in the world. Special invite for the Lion Pride. Use code Lion's Voice and save 10% store-wide. If you spend $125 or more, the discount goes up to 15%. Visit us online at www.irootsrecords.com. The time has come.
In the haunting echoes of violence against women in St. Anne, Jamaica, a mysterious vigilante emerges. For the Woman Painted Purple unfurls a gripping narrative of empowerment, retribution, and the pursuit of justice. Brenda and her group sisters bond together in therapy over their common struggles, but soon their group becomes the subject of an investigation. As the vigilante's actions escalate, the relentless detective, Officer Woodley, races to unmask the mystifying figure. For the Woman Painted Purple is a pulse-pounding tale that explores the boundaries of justice, revenge, and the fighting spirit. This thrilling saga delves into the complexities of dealing with mental health, domestic abuse, and finding love after. Own your copy today. Visit www.devonigreen.com.
This is The Black Heart Man, Rastafari children's picture book with hand-painted illustrations and rhythmic storytelling. This is a journey you do not want to miss. We offer worldwide shipping, so order your copy today at www.degreerspaintbrush.com. Alternatively, you can order your copy from TikTok. If you are interested in stocking the book, please email us at degreerspaintbrush@gmail.com. Give thanks.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen. Empress was Zero Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chasmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Voice Live, or as we like to call it, Lion Voice Rise if you're on the East Coast, We are here today with a very special episode, and this is where the Lions are telling our own story. I think we've clearly established that we have a special Pan-African roundtable reasoning scheduled for this morning. It's a nice sabbatical sip for the item. I have my elder with I for the duty, the legendary Sekou Tafari of Frontline Books. We're going to bring him forward shortly, but I just want to first give thanks to everyone who has been encouraging us on these works. I want to give thanks for everyone who joined us last night. We had an Irie pop-up episode with a good brethren of mine, highly traits, who survived a terrible accident and is now putting his focus on farming. We were live last night from Trenchtown, Jamaica, in Kingston, where they have, I know, some urban agriculture settings going on. So we really do give thanks for that from the brethren, highly hydrates. If you didn't see the episode, go and check it out. Support the brethren. And we are rolling. So this morning, we are talking about the Haile Selassie first mission of a united Africa. And to do that, before we bring on our guests, I want to introduce our co-host, our elder Sekou Tafari, just to reason on some of the vibrations that are taking place on the African continent right now. So let me introduce Sekou. Also, if you're joining us, please give an attribution to the platform if you can. Big up yourself, Roots. Always faithful, always sure. Roots, big up yourself. But I don't want Roots to be lonely with his $5 contribution every episode. So if you can, and you love the content, just drop a $5 or $10 in the super chat and let us know that you support, or that I support, Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media. All right, so let me just introduce Sekou, Perfect Love and Strength. Warm welcome. Royal greetings.
Yes, I give thanks, my brethren. Give
Yes,
thanks
I.
to be here. Yes, I. Very, very important debate and team. Africa need to unite. So we on the path for that direction. Give thanks. Rasquafi?
Greetings. Yes.
Yes, I. You hear me?
Yes, I. Perfect Love. So,
Yes, I.
yeah, I can just adjust the camera a little bit down.
Okay.
So we
Okay,
can
on the
see
down?
the eye. Yeah, a
Okay,
little.
all right.
So we can see the eye. And then I want the eye, before we bring forward the guests.
How is it now?
Yeah, a little bit more down, a little bit more, so we can see a little bit of your torso.
Okay. You feel me now?
Yeah, that's
okay.
good. That's good. We
Okay.
just want to make
All
sure we're seeing the eye full
right. Give
compliment.
thanks. All right.
But and I see the eye, Sister Laura trying to join us from Costa Rica. We have a very diverse panel today, so I'm very excited to hear the different perspectives. But before we bring forward the panel, I want to know from the eye, how do you feel about the current state of African unity? What are you seeing? What kind of vibrations are the eye? Just from a bird's eye view, from an elder view, you've been in this struggle for so long. How do you feel about what you're seeing right now? Worldwide.
It gives me encouragement when I look at the Sahel states, although they going through their own struggle in terms of trying to survive. But Africa need to take an example from the Sahel states, that is Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and that leadership. With a fight for sovereignty in those states. And that is like a microcosm for what we should try to achieve. what we see going on in Tanzania, South Africa, I'm a bit disturbed about that. However, I know with the continuous struggle, we have to struggle to fight against micronationalism. And once we overcome micronationalism, we'll be on the pathway to Pan-Africanism, which is the unification of all Africa under one African government, one army, and therefore we fulfilling what Marcus Garvey asks us to fulfill. That is a united Africa. So Africa must unite, and we are a long way off. Their Majesty give us that direction, and we basically have to follow the what they call the pathway. We have the black. We have what do we call it? The black print is there for many of our previous past leaders, including Thomas Sankara, including Samora Machel, including Haile Selassie I, including Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba. We have so many, and even here in North America, we have Malcolm X, we have Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael. We have so many who have given us that strong path to continue in that direction that Their Majesty Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Sekou Touré, and others have given us that guideline. So it's a struggle. It's a rash struggle, as we say. It's a struggle on different levels. Africa's biggest problem is fighting against neo-colonialism and colonialism, because even though the Africans in the West was enslaved and brought here in chains, the Africans on the continent, the mind has been taken more than the minds of the Africans in the West. So the struggle is to fight against neo-colonialism, US and other European imperialism. And once we could defeat those things, because we must be able to say to ourselves that let us look at Africa from a different eye, from a different perspective now. We want one army, we want one government, we want one navy. That is the way we strive into with total equality around Africa. So Africa uniting, it must not be just a phrase. It must become tangible. So we must work with that to make it tangible. The African unification. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. I'm going to ask our guests if they can turn on their cameras so we can bring them up in due season. We definitely would love to see the eye. Big up Dr. Paliani calling in, watching from Malawi. We do have our brother Bernard Owusu, who will be representing Malawi and the Southern African states. We have Sister Laura Hall, who is going to be coming in live from Costa Rica. We have Sister, we have some technical difficulties happening, but we're going to work around it. So I'm not going to delay it much further. Sekou, I'm going to introduce our guests.
Yes, sir.
We have a powerful sister from Costa Rica, who is Sister Laura Hall. She's the president of the UNIA chapter in Costa Rica. I just want to give the opportunity to introduce herself, Sister Laura. And she comes highly, 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 highly recommended. Sister Laura, can you introduce yourself? We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Can you introduce yourself, my sister?
Greetings, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Oh, sorry.
In the name of the Most High, earthright guidance, light, and protection to every brother and sister gathered around this sacred table today. I am the lady president. There is a president, Brother Winston Norman of Branch 300 of the UNIA here in Limon, Costa Rica. My position is lady president, or what we call here vice president of the branch. I am happy to be here and to be able to share some inputs as well.
Give thanks, give thanks. Royal blessings to the lady president of the UNIA. I would like to start because we have a unique opportunity here, Sekou, in that we don't usually hear from our African brothers and sisters in Latin America, or what they would call Latin America. Could you give us a brief history, Sister Laura, of the the plight of Black people in Costa Rica and Latin America? Of course, Marcus Garvey was shaped by his time there. Joseph Hibbert, who is one of the founders of Rastafari movement, was shaped by his time in Costa Rica. So something is happening in Costa Rica.
Nathaniel Hibbert was also there.
Yes, Nathaniel Hibbert. Sorry, I said Joseph. It was Joseph Nathaniel Hibbert. But so something is going on in Costa Rica. Please, Sister Laura, give us a history of the African presence in Costa Rica. Can you hear I? Can you hear I? Can you hear I? Okay. She's multiplying. Greetings. Greetings, greetings. 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 Can you hear I? Greetings.
Apparently we lost her.
Yes, greetings. She's trying to connect on multiple devices, it looks like. Can you hear? Greetings. Sister Laura, greetings. Give thanks for the patience, family. You know, here on the Lion Voice Network, we never panic. We just work on it until we get it right. So we will get it right. We will work through. In the meantime, I see our brother Bernard Owusu has joined. I'm going to bring forward our brother Bernard Owusu. Royal greetings, Brother Bernard.
Yeah, greetings to, please, you can hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. I have to switch from my phone to the laptop now.
Okay. And do we have any camera on the laptop, or is it not working?
It's working. You want me to? Okay, let me show. Just
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can switch your position because we're getting the shadow from the window, so we cannot see your face. Can you put the computer where you're sitting now, and then you sit facing that window?
Okay.
All right, we let him get set. In the meantime, Sekou,
yes, sir.
we can talk a little bit further. Were you able to watch the episode we did with Mama Ya Santua?
No, I haven't seen it as yet.
Okay.
When I was here, that was first night?
That was first Saturday.
Oh, first Saturday. No, I haven't seen it. I had to take a peep at it.
Yes, yes.
I was able to see the one with Malik, which
Baba
he
Malik.
didn't got yeah. That my long time. He's a long time brother of mine.
Yes, yes. Legendary. Legendary.
Yeah. So I was able to see that, which was really,
Give
really,
thanks.
yeah. So I will check out my
Give-
Asante one.
Yes, and all of
Later
the
on.
Lion Pride. Make sure you go forward and watch the older episodes. We have some gems in there. And I
Yes.
know it's a lot of content, but when you have free time, you're washing your dishes or you exercise, and just put them on and make them run.
Yeah, man.
Sister Laura, are you there?
Here I am. Can you hear
Beautiful.
me?
Beautiful. So I asked if we could get a history of the African presence in Costa Rica.
Definitely. So there are various influx of African presence in Costa Rica. Some are told by his story, and the other ones are told by our story. So I'm going to share.
Is that Wi-Fi the guy?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going too high? Is the frequency too powerful? Because anytime we start bust up some seals around here, Sekou, we always see this happen. You notice that?
I know.
They don't want Latin America, quote unquote, and the rest of I and I if we connect,
Yes,
But-
and it's a vital area,
Yes,
Yeah,
but they
a
can't
vital
stop
area.
the sweeping tide. They
Yes,
cannot
yes.
stop the sweeping tide.
Yes.
Sister Laura, are you there? All right, we're having a lot of connectivity issues this morning, but we're gonna work through them. The item know already how we do it here at the Lion Voice Network. We never panic. We just keep on sending up that ancestral energy, that Ivine energy, and bust up the barriers. And we know this will be one of these classic episodes, bringing together our brothers and sisters from across land and sea to have the reasoning. But until Sister Laura is able to sort out her technology, Sekou, what is your knowledge about Latin America, the African presence? Give us
Well,
some.
I had an opportunity to go there, to be in Panama, and about, I think it was like around 2003. The government of Panama brought in a few of us in, including Brother Jakes, Mumiak, sister from I think she now passed. She used to be at York University, the white, I can't remember the European lady there. But she so we came in there, and was the first Black History Month in May of 2002. And it was historical for me, being in Panama, because my grandfather, my father's father, worked on the Panama Canal, and we still have a lot of relatives there. And in fact, there's still a mural or a video on the canal with my grandfather being featured there. So Panama and South and Central America has always been close to me in terms of following from since around 1970, 1971. I've been like following the revolutionary activities taking place in that area there, following what was taking place in terms of influence of Venezuela, the influence of Cuba, influence of Nicaragua, and so on. So I think there's a lot of African people, a lot of African people, Black people, who have been there. Brazil, which has the largest African community, in this region of the world. So it's a very, very important part for us. You know, though we separated by what you call language barrier. Brazil speaks Portuguese. The other parts of South and Central America, they speak Spanish. But we all have a commonness. The commonness, which is we came on the same ship, different ships, but we're in the same boat now, because we still, all of us are basically impacted by U.S. imperialism and neo-colonialism. So I think it's a very vital part that we need to reclaim. We need to keep the connection. Lennon Howell, Archibald Dunkley, Nathaniel Hibbert, and most of our early Rastafari patriarchs, they visited those areas. I guess at that time they were working in the fields, on the boats, and in different areas, you know. So yeah, Garvey had a big, strong following in that region, from Honduras. They give him a lot of land was given to the UNIA from Honduras. So we have a great connection within that part of the world, and the black people there. I mean, when I was in Panama, I remember when we in Panama is basically you drive over, Costa Rica is right there. You drive over, and the next part of the border, Colombia is there. So it's a closeness, and we need to make sure that we keep that closeness with the Caribbean. If the Caribbean, along with Central and South America, could connect in terms of as a trading partners, that will be a great impact for African people in that part of the world. One people. Give thanks.
Sister Laura, are you there?
Here I am.
Okay, we are patient. We want to get that history from the eye. Give us the history of the African presence in South and Central America.
Give thanks. So before the 1500s, we have had presence of people of African descent in Costa Rica. What we call Christopher Columbus came to Costa Rica, and there is recordings, and there is a book written by his nephew speaking about the fact that when they arrived to Central America, they found Red Indians and Black Indians, as they called the people. And when they asked the Red Indians since when these Black Indians were here, because they looked as the enslaved people they brought with them, the Red Indians said they don't know, because when they arrived to the land, the Black Indians were already here. So that is the first written account that we have of African presence in the early Americas and in the early Central America as well, well documented. Then in the 1600s, there were maroon African descendants in the mountains who flew and who drowned the boat and flew to the mountains of Talamanca in the province of Limon. 5 years ago, they found the remains of that hidden boat in the shores of Cahuita in Limon. Then in 1872, and this is the one, like the widely talked about, or the only talk about influx of people of African descent to the country, is on the 20th of December, 1872 at 3 p.m. A ship by the name of Lisi arrived from Kingston, Jamaica, bringing skilled workers to build a railroad that will connect the capital of Costa Rica, San Jose, with Limon, the coast, the Caribbean coast in Costa Rica, in order for Costa Rica to be able to export coffee, which is the founding economical product of the country. So the highly skilled workers of the railroad built the economy of the country, because before that railroad was constructed, they had to export their goods through the Pacific side, and they would arrive ripe or rotten to Europe or other places where they were exchanging the coffee. Therefore, they needed a faster road. But this building of the railroad is what entramped, I would say, the people of Caribbean descent in Costa Rica, because they were not paid. The government and Minor Keat, who was the British person in charge of the construction of the railroad, owed them for months. They did free labor to finish the railroad, and with the promise to being paid, and that didn't happen. So they didn't have a way to go back to Jamaica or to go back to wherever they came from because of the economic situation. So some decided to go to Panama and work on the construction of the canal, and others remained here and then started to plant cocoa, and they plant bananas, they plant plantains. They started making their own industry, and they were for a lot of years self-sufficient economically, until the government saw this place developing up faster than the other areas of the country, and decided to take some discriminatory measures, I would call them, that will stop the economic progress of the people. So in a nutshell, before 1500, there had been presence of people of African descent in the country. During the 1600s, there was the wreck ships and the maroonage of people of African descent. And in the 1872, this massive influx of skilled workers to build the railroad. And then after the years, there have been migrations of different nationalities that at the end will conform the Caribbean coast as we know it now. So I hope I have answered that, but I also wanted to speak a little bit about the Marcus Garvey encounter with Costa Rica, because it was not merely a brief biographical.
Go ahead.
I give thanks. It was not merely a brief biographical stopover. It was a foundational step for global Garveyism. The Caribbean coast of Costa Rica served as both the empirical dynamic that shaped Garvey's ideological framework, and later one of the most vibrant, resilient steps for the Universal Negro Improvement Association. When Marcus Garvey arrived in Port Limon in 1910, he was a young Jamaican printer. He entered an enclave defined by foreign capitalism and structural racial hierarchy. There was labor exploitation. Thousands of Afro-Caribbean workers, as I said, that came since 1872, primarily from Jamaica, but not only from Jamaica. They came from Barbados, from St. Vincent, they had as well, St. Kitts, among others. They were enduring low-wage labor for the United Fruit Company and the Northern Railway. And then there was double marginalization as well, because the Black workers faced systemic oppression from the Boston-based multinational corporation, while simultaneously experiencing legal exclusion from the Costa Rican central state that restricted the Black mobility inland toward the Central Valley. Because remember, once they were not paid, they wanted to go deeper into the country to see how they could establish their way of living, and that was restricted by Costa Rican central government at the time until 1949, when we had the first African descent congressman who made a law to change that. But I was talking about Marcus Garvey. So coming back, Garvey founded a bilingual newspaper, the first newspaper of Costa Rica, called The Nation, to denounce the working conditions, to advocate for the workers' solidarity, and to expose blatantly the institutional racism. This directly shaped his realization that Black people across the diaspora faced identical structural forces regardless of geography, because he went to Panama and he saw the same thing. He went to Guatemala, he saw the same thing. He went to Honduras, he saw the same thing. So that sparked his vision for international self-reliance, economic independence, and Pan-African political solidarity. When Garvey formally established the UNIA in Jamaica in 1914, 4 years after him being in Costa Rica, and then he expanded it globally from Harlem, Costa Rica became one of the most organized, until today, strongholds in the Americas, hosting over 23 active divisions in the time, and our Division 300 in Port Limon was and is the epicenter. So there was the Liberty Halls as cultural spheres in Costa Rica, has an historical background, and it has been declared as well an architectural patrimony and cultural patrimony of the country, because it functions as autonomous spaces for self-governance, for education, for mutual aid, for civic organization, and most important, for cultural preservation. It also worked as an economic autonomy engine. As I said, African descent in Costa Rica heavily bought shares in the Black Star Line shipping company, viewing it as a tangible vehicle for economic sovereignty, for transatlantic trade, and also for physical reconnection with the motherland. And the UNIA official organ, the Negro World, used to circulate widely across the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica, despite the attempts by colonial and national authorities to censor it. And that fostered a Pan-African consciousness across generations that still live today. So in 1921, when Garvey returned to Costa Rica in April, as the President General of the UNIA, he was received as a national leader by thousands of workers, agricultural laborers, and community figures. His tour through Limon, Estrada, and Siquirres solidified a collective Afro-diasporic identity that resisted both the state-sponsored invisibility that was happening at the day and the corporate hegemony. So through the Pan-African lens, Garveyism in Costa Rica transformed isolated migrant workers into self-conscious agents of a transnational movement, laying the cultural and political groundwork for modern African descent civil rights, territorial identity, and social justice across Central America.
Mightyful, mightyful. Let me just say, Lady President, you're doing your chapter of the UNIA very proud. You know, what a excellent presentation. Do you have any comments before we bring forward some of our other guests? Sekou, listening to that presentation, very detailed. Sekou, you have any sound? We're not hearing the eye. We're not hearing the eye. Go out and come forward, Sekou. It's distorted. Go out and come forward in.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're not hearing the eye at all. While Sekou sorts out his situation, I'm going to bring forward another guest. This brother is from Ghana originally, but he didn't spend a lot of his life. Most of his life has been spent in Southern Africa. And he's currently residing in Malawi. And he has a unique perspective on integration because he himself is a product. He is a tangible fruit of a Pan-African vision because he, as a born African, has been traveling around the continent. And we're so honored to have him on the platform today. We do have our regular panelist, Daddy Bosco from Ghana, so we'll get a Ghana perspective. But this brethren, don't watch the name Owusu today. Today, we're focusing mostly on his work in Southern Africa. So welcome, our brother Bernard Owusu. Greetings, my brother. We still have the issue with the window in the background because the light is behind the eye. Is that a window behind the eye? Because the light is behind the eye, there's a shadow. So you would have to face the sunlight so that we see the eye face. Let me bring forward Sekou. Sekou, can you hear the eye?
I hear you. You hearing me?
Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better.
Okay.
Did you have any sounds for our sister, Sister Laura?
Laura? Yes. I'm very proud of my sister. She did a good representation of the UNIA chapter in Costa Rica. She gave us the deep history in relation to the discovery or so-called discovery and the whole idea that Africans been there for a long time. That is also being we would say if one's read from They Came Before Columbus by Van Satima.
Yes.
Van Satima allude to that somehow. And there's also another book called Ramses III, Father of Ancient America, which also pinpoints the Africans which came there about over 3,000 years ago to North and South America. Also, about 800 years ago, the Mali king who was there, the brother of Mansa Musa, Mansa Abubakar II, he also had sent over a voyage. And also when Columbus apparently arrived in some of the Caribbean islands, especially Haiti and Cuba, he also noted that there were African people who were there. So there's no doubt that Africans' presence in that part of the world, and this part of the world, North America as well, have been going on for thousands of years, probably even long before the migration of the people that came across the Alps, who we now know as Tainos and the native people of North America. So yeah, she did a great job. I like how she tied it in terms of Garvey and the impact that Garvey had in organizing that chapter in Costa Rica, and the knowledge that he came back in 1921 is so much valid. So she was teaching. Give thanks.
All right, beautiful. So I'm going to allow our next guest, our brother Bernard Owusu, to introduce himself. I see he has a presentation. I think we're in for a treat. I'm just going to take a guess that we're in for a major treat here. The brethren came highly recommended from Dr. Paliani, who we had a classic episode here with. So please unmute yourself, Brother Bernard, and just introduce yourself. Who are you? And give us a foundation for the I scholarship and what the I is reasoning on today.
Yeah, as my name already have been mentioned, people prefer calling me Benny.
Bernie.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Akwesi Nyako. Yeah, my recent activity has been the founding of a research organization called Africa Center for Intangible Phenomena Studies, with the aim of investigating our intangible world that has been more or less neglected by the mainstream academic institutions. And the importance of that relates to experiences that have been happening on the continent. And for that matter, I think it should be important to us as an African to understand the intangible aspects of our daily living and the environment also that we live in. So that is what has preoccupied me. And I have been in Malawi since February. Partly is concerns the research that I want to do here to study how a minority in traditional communities in Malawi faith adherents, how they are surviving for the years that even politically they have been somehow marginalized. Yeah. So that is the current activity now. And I have been a lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I lectured in the political science area, international relations, and other modules which were assigned to me to handle. Apart from that, in Ghana, that time I was a Christian, so I was a minister, church leader, and then I was also assigned the project work of starting new churches in part of northern Ghana, which was predominantly Muslim. Yeah. So I have also worked in management, administrative works, and even in South Africa too. I handled partly some administrative work under the university research office. So that is me sitting here. I'm very passionate about how our young people will get to know about our traditions and culture and anything that will help them to at least recognize their identity and be proud of who they are. And that is what I am working hard to. At least if there's any legacy to leave, that is one of them that I feel that I should be able to push forward. And as I'm here with the support of Professor Chingowu, in fact, he's been very, very helpful, ensuring that I don't give up. Because there are times one will be discouraged by certain factors within this African region, but he's been much helpful to me. Yeah.
Beautiful. I see you have a presentation here. Can I bring it up here? Is this your presentation here?
Yes.
So explain what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I'm reimagining African immigration governance. Subtitle: An African Approach to Intra-African Mobility, Skills, Circulation, and Regional Development. It looks at it's a policy presentation which looks at Southern Africa. In fact, the whole study is focused on Southern Africa, but it's captured from the entire continent, and also at least a bit of correlation from other places outside Africa. Yeah. And it is more on the border immigration side of immigration policy matter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Let me just. So on this slide, we look at the problem, Africa integration paradox, historical and colonial legal context, recent literature. Maybe I will skip recent literature and I'll skip the theory and the methodology. Then I will jump to number 6, comparative evidence, visa openness and movement protocol and SADC. And then we will look at the analysis and then recommendations to conclusion.
Yes. What is your central thesis? So before you take the global family to class, because we're getting a free class here. But before you do that, what is the central finding that you are explaining? Because we're talking about one of the key things. We talk about repatriation, but we don't talk about how does the Pan-African vision work, the day-to-day moving people, goods, services from these colonial borders without causing destabilization, the integration of cultures, spirituality, opportunity. There's so much when you talk about the integration reasoning. So this presentation he's going to give is going to address some of his findings as it relates to the nuts and bolts of the unity. Because we talk about the unity generally, but now this is going to talk about some of the nuts and bolts. So please move forward.
Yeah. So the central agreement is on it's not every present law is simply a colonial law produced unchanged. Many systems retain institutional assumptions centered on territorial control, administrative regulation, and national sovereignty. The question is whether these systems have been sufficiently redesigned for Africa's present development and integration priorities. Because the whole aim is to look at our preparation towards that integration consciously, the conscious effort being made. And the past 2 years, my travels within SADC region made me to rethink whether actually there is any effort at all. And for that matter, just some months ago, I tried to do this study to actually ensure that what I'm thinking is right or wrong. Yeah. Through Agenda 2063, regional economies depend on the movement of people as well as goods, services, and capital and knowledge. Also, the need for Africa professionals to remain on the continent, because we have seen and we heard of what we call brain drain to Europe and other parts of the world. But then what necessitates all these things means that there are hindrances within the continent for them to remain, especially where they choose not to actually remain in their own place of birth or mother countries. Then we also find that the other matter is the fragmented, costly, and complex immigration systems that also weaken the benefits of integration. the challenge is not open borders versus closed borders. It is smart development-oriented mobility, which is lacking. Yeah. So let us look at some of the historical context. I will not say much on this, but obviously, as we all know that we emerge from colonial instituted governance system, in as much as some of post independence governments have tried to make some reforms. What we see is that there are certain areas which still, haven't been touched so much. And the question remains, why is it that we have allowed those structures actually to remain? And for that matter, it ridicules the idea of talking about integration of the continent. Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that I will skip this. Okay, let me just highlight.
Hold on one second.
The colonial scholarship highlights persistent institutions.
One second. Can you hold one moment? One moment. I want to just test something out. Empress Zaditu, can you hear I?
Yes, I. Greetings.
Okay, perfect, love. Okay, I'm gonna bring the eye forward. That's our sister from the UK. We've been trying to get her in for some time, so I just wanted to make sure that she was in. All right, continue. Sorry about that.
Migration scholarship, literature, Africa Union, and ECOWAS, SADC, and others. And then also locating the research gap, which is the issue at stake. Okay, that methodology. Okay, the Africa visa openness. In fact, of recent times in the media, we've heard of countries removing the need for permit and visa for African countries. But at what point can we say that what is the level of this kind of making mobility, easing the mobility aspect on the continent by African countries to each other towards the integration in the future? Yeah. And here we look at the mobility gap. What numbers say scenarios were visa-free in 2024 reportings? Yeah, which is not just about 2 years ago, about how still required visa before travel. And then this is travel access, not yet deeper questions of work. Let me see. Let's see. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay. So remade, but we still have barriers to our own citizens on the continent visiting neighboring countries where they share similar cultures and family ties and the rest, you see. We come to AU Free Movement Protocol, the implementation gap. We find that 32 countries have signed, 4 ratified, and 15 also required. SADC progress, but fragmentation remains. SADC has substantial historical and economic value. Visa openness have improved in parts of Southern Africa, but national immigration systems remain diverse. Entry for a short visit is not equivalent to work, reside, establish a business, or transfer professional skills. Different permit categories, cost, documentation, and processing practices can create cumulative barriers. South Africa's regional economic weight makes it an important destination, but dependence on one dominant labor market is not the same as regional mobility. Yeah. So the key distinction is that visa openness, establishment mobility. Yeah. I can move on. Yes.
Yes, I. Yes, I.
Integration paradox.
One second. If you have any questions, put them in the chat for the brethren so you don't forget the questions. Any questions? We have other guests coming in. We're gonna allow them to block their sound, and then we'll have a more bounce. But we have some heavy substance that we want to communicate. As Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media, we want to be leaders of this discussion of this pressing matter in bringing these brilliant minds. So as you can see, we don't just have Rastafari panelists today. We have Pan-Africans from all over the world. So get your ITAL snacks, get your meditation, and get comfortable. This is going to be a deep dive into African unity and where we are today. So continue, my brother.
Okay, thank you. Integration paradox to what we have just read. The integration is to facilitate intra-African trade, movement of goods and services, people, skills are still restricted. And so we find that within SADC, regional production systems require people to move with knowledge, capital, and services. In fact, if we look at the context of SADC, let me just do a little bit of explanation here. SADC countries have small populations. In fact, if you may hear of Eswatini, Lesotho, Botswana, which is becoming one of the, used to be the strong economies, has a population just around 3 million. Namibia, which is so much heard of, it has a population not above 4 million. You see, so the bigger population is of 60 million. You go to Mozambique, which is around 24, 25, if I'm correct. You come to a small land size Malawi, but has such a big population, around 23, they say around 23 million. And then Zambia too, and Zimbabwe, I think they come under Malawi. So we find that there are some of the SADC countries that cannot stand alone. If you are talking about sovereignty, in fact, they may have severe challenge. And for some time, since 1994, ANC has facilitated the South Africa. So is the ground on which manufacturing goods produced in South Africa, agricultural products, move into SADC countries and other parts of Africa. So because of that also, it has made a lot of immigrants from the SADC region, due to low economic output, to flock to South Africa in order to find something to do. But then they come on these temporary permits, which I talked about. And because of that, it makes their stay here become illegal or illegitimate. And recently we heard of something which hasn't even subsided, the public outcry that there are too many immigrants in their country. So if we look at all these things, that we have a lot of countries which are not sustainable. I mean, what actually stopped that from happening? And then they continue, if I can use the medical word, a kind of anemia, economic anemia, whereby your blood doesn't flow or you are short of blood. But then these countries are trying to survive in a way which is not reasonable. And the need for some of them to pull themselves, link their economies and certain things is essential for them to actually remain as a sovereign country. Some of them talk about, you see, yeah. And then we have also trade liberalization without corresponding mobility reforms can leave an important part of integration unfinished. The policy objective should be manage mobility, lawful, affordable. What happened is that the current system of immigration policy in SADC and many of African countries actually shows that we are not ready for serious integration. And as much as we see that the very core of this integration also dwells on the people movement and the skills and the freedom to locate business anywhere on the continent as people feel they want to do. But that is not happening. At the moment. Why permit cost matters, but are not the whole story. If we look across the continent, everywhere permit fee is higher. Permit fees can be a direct financial barrier, especially for young professionals and small entrepreneurs. We find that this has been the case which has actually made South Africa to be flooded by other African, the continent-wide immigrants to South Africa. South Africa has low permit fees comparative to other, or compared to other African countries. And then the way the speed of processing this permit also is excellent unless I think which year, somewhere 2013 coming, we have one Minister of Home Affairs, Aaron Mosoledi. I don't know personally whether he was not interested much in Africa, but then he delayed the processing of African permits, which actually caused a huge backlog and the people becoming illegal also in South Africa. So the whole thing was that probably he saw that the number is huge, and for that matter, he decided to slow down the process, deliberately making people living illegally in South Africa. Yeah, and South Africa case is an example whereby we can see that once we ease the cost of processing permits, it enables people to afford it, and for that matter, they are able to settle in countries that they prefer to go within the continent and do that. African countries, even in the small countries, which need their population to grow, if actually they want to build stronger markets. I think you can't build stronger market with a population of 3 million. You need to grow your population, and we have seen that in even China, which used to be a country of bigger population, yet they continue to actually promote bigger market through population growth. I think just a recent years back,
Wi-Fi the guy.
What
Anytime we go high,
has
Wi-Fi
happened
the
in
guy.
parents to one, they have removed it because they have seen that market actually should start from within the country. If your market is all external and there are problems globally, like we had a COVID in 2019, 2020, then there's going to be a problem. So I've always advocated that markets should actually be more strong within each country, and for that matter, among neighboring countries also, is better than whereby you only focus more on export of commodities and products that are produced in the country. Products must be consumed locally more so that it becomes self-sustaining. The economy becomes self-sustaining. Yeah. I think this is what is important for me here on this slide. The stronger analytical need to actually ease this barrier, something that they are, when I was doing these studies, I asked myself that some of these governments came on the platform of Pan-Africanism, but then when they take up governance, what happened? That they decide not to push this agenda. Is there somebody behind them telling them not to do anything at all, or what actually is making them not doing anything to ease immigration restrictions for African citizens and people on the continent?
Serious sound.
Yeah. Comparative lessons. EU, ECOWAS, EAC, and Asia movement framework exists. And when you are in one part of, let's say you are in Spain, you can go all the way to work in Germany on the same visa. Let's say that if you are even European, you don't need any other special permit. You only have to go and register the business and start your work there. You see, it's the same applies to working within that region, which is quite impressive. Why such developed countries can actually do that, but we, a developing continent, are putting barriers which limits our potential to development as we want. Then we have ECOWAS, free movement. ECOWAS have improved, but still some of the countries have their own what ECOWAS protocol actually wants happen. And then East Africa too, they also have some bit of restriction, especially towards other African countries. But with the East African members, at least in terms of labor and free movement, it is eased to some extent. Professional exchange also have been eased to some extent, but yet much needs to be done. Lessons is that common rules can coexist with national sovereignty. When you come to ECOWAS, legal mobility can be institutionalized regionally. And then when we come to East Africa, mutual recognition can support integration. What actually has emerged from this study is the problem of fragmentation. You have national laws, regional commitment, administrative practice, and then migrant firm experiences. That means companies and organizations. Yeah, the gap is often created not by one rule, but by interaction of multiple systems. regional integration needs stronger policy coherence between national law and regional objectives. And this is what is lacking on the continent of Africa, especially within Southern Africa region. That kind of coherence hardly exists. At a certain level, it is, especially in the case of the environment and tourism from outside the continent is well facilitated. But when it comes to people's movement, trade, and let me leave it at that. We find that there are problems that a lot needs to be done to ensure that people can move at ease, especially where you have these small, I call them island countries that need support of each other in order to survive as countries. Yeah. Analytical finding too. Mobility is a development asset. Yeah. If we are talking of mobility, in fact, those of you who are in the West, and those, I'm not sure. But what we find is that, like Mamdani, the governor of New York, said that New York has been built by immigrants. In fact, UK, many parts of Asia have depended on immigrants to grow their economies, and a whole lot of, even now, Spain is legalizing a lot of illegal immigrants in their country. All is because they have seen that people coming into a country is not something that should be looked at evil, but something that we have to value as addition, something of quality, something that will in progress to happen. And we can learn much from EU in particular. Asia too, even though they haven't integrated, but we find that they have their own laws within the region which accommodate movement of people right from each country or neighboring countries to work and to do things commonly. But when it comes to Africa, it's quite where we need development at the moment. I think what is hindering us is not, it is ourselves with the kind of coloniality policies which remain, which actually are the hindrance to our development at the moment. Yeah. Regional value chain and shared development.
Stick up in, my brother. Can we seal up this presentation in 5 minutes?
Okay.
Give us a quick version, because
I think I am almost at the end now.
Okay.
So regional value chain and shared development is what is being advocated. Yeah. A policy recommendation, create regional permit for defined categories of professionals, etc., etc. Use eligibility criteria, predictable processing standards, connect the permit with mutual recognition of qualifications, allow participation states to retain security and labor market safeguards. Yeah. The second recommendation, reform and cost and processes. Publish complete fee schedules and services standard. Differentiate productive mobility from one-size-fits-all administration. Reduce unnecessary duplication across ministries and agencies, and use digital systems to improve transparency and reduce. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Okay, proposed Afrocentric immigration governance model. What to end and to also conclude on this slide is that before colonization, we never had all these things. In fact, the whites who came here were not as we didn't require visa for them to move. Our people have been trading centuries before Europeans actually came to Africa. And when they came, they saw that a lot of things were happening here. And people were living together. But as they came and colonized, they have put these barriers which actually have, separated us from each other. And it is a way for them also to exploit us and to weaken us. In the time of our post-colonial and post-independent era, what is more important is not just thinking about the integration of Africa, but then this should have been one of the priorities to remove these colonial barriers which separate us from each other. And for that matter, our development will be speed up on the, as we have the ease of actually crossing into any part of our continent. Actually, before colonization, it doesn't mean that people didn't know their territories. They knew their territories, yet they knew how to handle things in such a way that there were no conflicts. And this is what we need to learn. And those who feel that colonial barriers should remain are actually doing a disservice to the continent, and the likelihood that some of these 3 million countries, 1 millionaire may rise and say that I want to buy a country for myself because the people are not sustainable. Would that actually be helpful than when we pull ourselves together and then we are able to stand as a strong and one people, difficult to capture as there's something that I miss. I want to talk about just a point. Because of this problem, what is happening is that we have influx of Asians and other nationalities from Eastern Europe who have the money to actually pay for some of these permits in African countries, and even to the point that they are able to buy citizenship. And it is not helping because as much as this is going on, our own native citizens are getting marginalized economically. And then what happened is that as policies are determined by these immigrants from outside Africa and not ourselves. That is the danger which actually we have to beware and see how we can actually make it easy for our own African skills to work within the continent and not to leave the continent just because it is difficult and it is costly to stay on the continent wherever you want to do what you want to do. Thank you. Yeah.
Give thanks. Sekou?
Yes, I.
Yes, any sound for the brethren?
Yes, Bernard Owusu, very, very, very positive presentation. Nonetheless, we have to in reviewing the construction of the African continent on an economic and political level, we have to realize that a lot of these new nation states that we have in Africa today are just about 70, going on to 70 years old. And that is because from 1884, 1885, where the cutting up of Africa into pieces of like cake and bread. So the new nation, the young people of Africa today has to look at Africa from how they're gonna bring it together, not using the same methods that the Europeans use, because Europeans have used what we call divide and conquer. and that is why we haven't facing the problem. If as also make mention of Europe, he made mention of Europe and what takes place within the Eastern European Union, and this is a problem we have to deal with within the African continent, and not only within the African continent, but within the African diaspora overall. Because within the African continent, you find that an investor from Nigeria who wants to go to Gambia or Senegal to invest in terms of construction or refinery, as the case might be, he still has to face the idea of having to get a permit. While if a Frenchman or a British subject from Britain comes to Senegal or goes to Gambia, he or she don't need a visa. But within the continent or the confines of traveling within Africa, whether it's as a business or tourist, ones need a visa. And these are some of the things that we need to break down, not slowly, but very fast. So the presentation was very, very, very strong. And I think that with minds like that, we know Africa is on the right path. Give thanks. Yes, Kwasi?
Sorry, give thanks. I'm here talking. I'm going to bring in Empress Zaditu. Empress Zaditu, can you hear? Empress Zaditu, can you hear us? Greetings. Empress Zaditu?
Greetings.
Greetings. Yes, please
Greetings, my
introduce
sister.
yourself. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your view of the state of African unity.
Well, first of all, I'd like to give thanks to the Almighty Creator, Empress, in all things, giving thanks for the opportunity. I'm listening to the other presentations, despite having some audio problems. But give thanks. I have not had much time to prepare. So basically, my name is Empress Zaditu Ahuma. I am of Jamaican heritage living in the UK. I have recently repatriated to Uganda by the grace of the Most High and by instruction of the ancestral energy. So, unity in Africa is something that is very dear to us. We have to come together as one in order to move and develop myself. Now, I work as a medical practitioner. I started off a nurse, working in theater. So I managed to gather a lot of information regarding surgical procedures. So I'm skilled in all manner of surgical procedures, giving advice in the communities, and so forth. So one of the things that came to Sekou as a great need for I and I who are repatriating is set up something called the Sick Minority Project. Within the Sick Minority Project, we look at hungry being fed, looking at agriculture, our food, etc., our naked clothes, our sick be nourished, aged protected, and infants cared for, particularly when I look to repatriate home. So being able to move together as one, to move into our communities from all over the diaspora, Jamaica, the Caribbean, America, home to Africa. It is essential. And His Majesty spoke about public health and the need to set up our public health structure. Very, very important. So at the moment, I've been in Uganda. I'm currently doing a master's degree in public health. I'm a qualified surgical practitioner. I started off with a nurse, Bachelor of Science degree, but then advanced myself and became the first Rastafari surgical practitioner in Birmingham here in UK. So I am skilled in manners pertaining to surgery, ENOs and orthopedic, gynecology, colorectal surgery, emergency. My specialism was in colorectal cancers, and I had my own operating list and diagnostics such as endoscopy, colonoscopy, etc. So right now I am in Uganda by the grace of the Most High. I am currently in Ginger, where the source of the River Nile is, where the Blue Nile and the White Nile meet, just on the road from Ethiopia, still. So at the moment, I'm looking at naturopathic services, developing knowledge and skills, looking into the herbs and the remedies that have been sent and given to I by the sky himself, earth, wind, moon, fire, see, and healing that the Father has given unto I and I. So I am also teaching there in Uganda, looking at anatomy and physiology. I'm a prescriber. I'm teaching first aid and communicable and non-communicable diseases. So in terms of integration, my view on integration is to rejuvenate, regather, and this has to be on a reciprocal basis, because I and I was removed out of the womb, our home there in the African continent. Don't have my home, I'm wearing my clothes, I'm not cooking my food, I'm not practicing my customs. So these are things that I have to learn from my counterparts who were not removed from Africa, who are still there, born and grow in the land, know how to grow the food seasons and so forth. I view the integration as an integral part where, we are learning from each other to build up our own resources, to develop our own self, to revisit, recuperate, and reinvest in our ancestral lineage, traditional African heritage before colonialism. So at the moment we are in Kampala. I'm attending Kampala University, where I am in communication with a large number of students from all over the continent, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda itself, Sudan. So it's like I'm in a melting pot of I and I. So I know I'm there for a specific purpose. I am very close to the Rastafari community in Uganda, of which ones are very knowledgeable, looking at the historical context of I and I comes from Kemet. It has been shown that the DNA, the peoples of Uganda, are of direct correlation with ancestral energies from Ethiopia and Egypt. Now, Queen Nyabingi, as they call her, is from same areas within Uganda, Rwanda, them sides. So peoples there, I find, are very similar to as Jamaicans. Foods are there, fruits, vegetables, with a steady spirit of resilience. Most of the ones in Uganda are young. 70% of the population are under the age of 40. Very articulate people, very loving and kind people. So that integration that I have experienced, this is where my perspective comes from. has been one of rediscovery, one of ancestral reverence that the Most High Himself has guided. So I get a lot of visions, a lot of communications through visions, through spirit, and actually was guided to go to Uganda. This is having traveled across Africa, been to Malawi, South Africa, um, quite a few other countries, Ghana, and meet many ones and see different types of liberties and expressions in these different countries, Zimbabwe, etc. Ancestors actually guided us to go to Uganda for some reason, but looking at the geographical layout, Uganda is sort of central to many of these other countries that I have visited. So, how I view the integration, I have a serious duty to play in terms of collaborating and moving together as one with our counterparts here in Africa. Each and I have skills, knowledge to exchange one with the other. It's a reciprocal learning. And only in this manner will I grow and develop, because they are dependent. I am because I are. I'm very intrigued to see how Ibrahim Traore he's moving, developing the country, and together, there is strength. I don't have a presentation to go into any greater detail, but that is a little about myself.
None needed, Mama. Perfect.
I give thanks. I'm working 2 sick minority projects with ones in Ethiopia. I was very actively involved with a very serious situation that occurred in Ethiopia many years ago when beautiful sister Yainka Malawi passed away during childbirth. I actually visioned the whole thing, and I was the one that actually she was there. I was there when she passed, and they sent her home from the hospital in Addis with the baby and the body as well. So I had all these to deal with. Furthermore, I had some youth that she had to deal with the situation. So having to deal with serious health related life and death situation in and about in Africa that I feel when I repatriating is very serious, and the need for integration, not only for I to be willing to integrate with some of the norms, the cultures, and so forth, but vice versa. I look at it as a synchronicity, and I have to collaborate, and I have to sort of come together to form a balance upon which I can set a solid foundation upon which to go. Rastafari.
Mightyful. Sekou, are you there? Sekou? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Any questions for the sister?
Well, first and foremost, the sister presentation, we want to really appreciate, let her know I appreciate the presentation. We give thanks for her presentation. What I would like to hear is you in Uganda, and what is the state of affairs in terms of, I know Uganda, not too long ago they were talking to the government of Tanzania, the government of Kenya, and I think they was talking to the Gigante in Nigeria, the oil magnate there, about
Yes.
setting up a plant somewhere, I think, in Tanzania, which will be basically to supply petroleum and petroleum products for that region. You could you tell us anything about that?
Well, in Uganda, the situation pertaining to setting up certain businesses here, I'm not familiar with all things, particularly with the oil. I know there is an oil line, and government is in active talks and movements towards building such. So I have seen some serious developments pertaining to that on a governmental level. You know, the moment in Uganda, the situation pertaining politically sometimes can be a little tense. I mean, um, they had some elections here the other day, which were, quite a serious time during the country. Everything has now settled. There are opportunities for I&I to develop industries. There's a lot of Chinese here. There are many Chinatowns. So there are many different countries and peoples there that are benefiting from the products of the land. So in terms of the oil itself, though, I have seen, I'm sorry I'm not able to give so much more detail, but that is something that is ongoing, and I have seen from time to time some developments pertaining to that. Obviously, due to the election in the past few months, it has been overshadowed. And currently, with the health status that's taking place in Congo with the Ebola, that was the current state of affairs. So I have been in the UK for the past 8 weeks. I'm due to return to Uganda in 2 weeks. There is a huge Tafari community there in Uganda. They're very articulate, active. I have a meeting planned with members of the government, even Vision that I've met with Museveni himself. So, it's a work in progress. There's a lot of strength needed, but there's a huge opportunity for I&I to set up businesses, serious businesses that can affect and develop,
Give thanks. Give
Great,
thanks.
give thanks. Also, another question is more if I don't know if you know that not too long ago, I think it was like about a year ago, that the government of Uganda under Museveni,
yes,
he they found a large amount of gold. I think it was one of the largest
deposits.
Deposit of gold they found, and basically that should put Uganda in a very strong position in terms of being able to get out of the economic depression that they have been in. In terms of, I'm hoping that they could build their own refineries, gold refineries there, that they could process the gold, and rather than having to keep sending it out to places like Britain, France, Belgium, etc. So my observation is that Uganda could be on a strong setting, but I also know that the political arena is very much a very tricky one, where you have a man is running Uganda right now, is close to 100 years old, has not been able to give up the reign of power to younger people. Is a kind of tyrannical kind of situation there. But it seems, from my observation, that things might be on the uprising. But we need for Africa, how African countries could rally together. So, question: being a subject of Britain, do you need a visa to go to Uganda, or you have free passage?
Thank you very much for the question. Very, very relevant question. If you are traveling with a British passport, yes, you do need a visa. Yeah. But I travel on Jamaican passport. I have my Jamaican passport and citizenship. So Jamaicans are free visa free. They don't have to pay that visa cost. So that is what I am traveling on at the moment. The other thing that I found very advantageous, which was not, I didn't go aiming to do it in that manner, but because I am doing my master's degree in Kampala University, I have applied for a student visa, which I get for 12 months. So I've just renewed my student visa again because I've not completed my master's. So I haven't been requested to have a visa for 12 months. But in answer to the question, yes, British passport holders do need to have a visa for 90 days, and then it will need to be upgraded, or you leave the country or whatever. There is a Jamaican, a Caribbean community set up in Uganda, and there's quite a few ones from Trinidad, Bermuda, Jamaica, the UK, America, so forth. So there is a rising community there looking at residency, looking at some of these issues that can assure I, citizenship and benefit that go thereof. The very articulate ones there, the Rasta community is very active. You have the Nilotica Cultural Ensemble. These are Rastafari brethren who uphold, Asian traditions, and they actively carry out traditional activities within the community, like drum circles, making, beads, basket, weaving, etc. Them every day them do so. There's a lot of potential there. So I really appreciate the question, because that is something that is of high priority.
Another question before I pass it on to, well, there's a combination of questions. One, since you're a student there, are you you paying the local fee in terms of as a using a Jamaican passport, or is that you paying? So so the fee for someone coming from the so-called Commonwealth, like Jamaica, Barbados, Bermuda, and so on, for us as a student, is it different if you were coming as a student from Britain or America, or as the case might be? Is it a different fee?
It is similar, but I think one's are judged according to their own merit and their personal circumstances. Now, when I went to apply for my master's, I had already been in Uganda attending various conferences, networking with medical institutions and the Rastafari community. So we already had presence there. Furthermore, Stick We Nourish project, I get all of medical equipment that we've gathered over the years. When England had dashed them, when I said, oh no, not dash them, no. Give them to me, because all things were not used yet. Then people are dashed it. So what I have done is to donate medical equipment across Africa and the Caribbean, including there in Uganda. The university was one such recipient of such donations, in that they have the sick bay, and the sick bay would have a nurse, and it's there to provide services for the student. So Sick Bay Nourish, I see the sick bay, the room. We renovated the room, we painted it, put sink in there, laminated posters, put equipment, smart, and equip the nurse, uniform, pressure machine, stethoscope, etc. So those are types of ways I support. So I did don't have a foot within the university already. But I decided that, His Majesty looked and said, public health is of very great importance to the development of Africa, to even Ethiopia, which is relevant to the whole of Africa, because if you look at the water, sanitation, and all these things that create and keep ones in poverty, I need to have the principles of public health first and foremost to preserve and sustain and maintain land, the sea, the water, the air. So I decided to do just a diploma. When they saw my qualifications, I said, you need to do a master's. And then because of the skills that I had, I'm just teaching. So I'm a student, but I teach certain other students whilst I'm here. So I hope that answers the question.
No, that's beautiful, because I know one of my ex-wife, she was teaching there. She was a nurse practitioner. She spent about a year or two there teaching there.
In Uganda?
In Uganda, yes. She was there for about a year. I think it's only because of the COVID-19 that they basically lifted them out of Uganda. She was part of a project with the U.S. government, working in Uganda. Another question, which is the final question, is has the government given any land grant to the Rastafari community or any other community, African community, diaspora community in Uganda, settling in Uganda?
Again, wonderful question, because I am there, and first thing that I have to find when I reach there is where the Rastafari community lives. So, there are different houses, different ones who are there.
I know Ras McCarthy. I don't know if you know Ras McCarthy. He was just there not too long ago, a few months ago.
He was staying with in Maya. Come too.
Okay.
Him and him Queen, Sister Khalid McCarthy,
yes,
my
I know him very well. I lived in the UK for a while as a student in London.
So I might know the high face then. So it's them come too.
Yes.
Because I'm renting an apartment in Kampala, but I have land up in Tangulumira, which is near the River Nile, up in Ginger side.
So the price of land is reasonably cost?
Brethren, it depends where you are though. If you're looking at somewhere near Entebbe, and Kampala, these are both very well built up areas, highly, urbanized, they're not highly urbanized, but the whole heap of motorbike traffic, so the properties and land in those areas are quite steep, the cost. Where I am, I'm more near Ginger, so I'm more up in country, quiet. Me just see pear bush, me love to see, and the bird them a morning time and grow my banana them and thing. So the land up there, when I told the brother the other day how much for the land, he said, what? It's about a third of the price than what he was asked to pay in Entebbe. So it depends where you want to relocate to. If you're going to Entebbe, remember, say the airport and them places there, tourist area, expensive land. The further out you go from Entebbe, the further out you go from Kampala into the country, then you will find lands 5,000, 6,000, depends. I mean,
when they say 5,000 and 6,000, what is their currency there?
They have Ugandan shillings.
Okay, Uganda
shillings.
So similar to Tanzania and Kenya.
Similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're talking about pounds, UK pounds.
UK pounds. I translated it.
So that is some heavy dollars, heavy money.
Well, not really. It depends where you are. I mean, the land that I have actually came with property on it, which to my thought, ones who are looking to relocate, and if you have youth especially, try find some land with a property on it, or even something that is half constructed, quarter. It's just so much more cheaper, manageable, because you can actually be on the land whilst you're building. Whereas if you don't have that, you have to start to dig out foundation, water, this, that. Plus you have to pay rent wherever you are.
So
Yes, yes,
that is my advice. You know, I
yeah,
was
yeah,
very blessed to get this piece of land. And by the way, ones are very welcome to come to
yes,
Kangulumira, Empress
yes,
Zaditu, Ras Niger,
yes,
and ones are there. But yes, Ras Makapi is my bona fide brethren.
yes,
I
yes, 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 yes. Give thanks, give thanks.
yes, I.
So find out about the land grant because it is important that
Well,
in every country that the Rastafari community should be given land grants as their Majesty set the pace with
yes, I.
Shashamani. Yes.
Well, I didn't actually fulfill what the question. Ras Niger and some of the other brethren them in Uganda, they have made contact with the government pertaining to lands, and ones in the past. I think there's been a couple of ones from Jamaica who have actually been given lands in Uganda. You know, and the brethren them in Uganda itself, as you know, there's a lot of infighting with the different ones. So ones will get money and then they don't do what them for do. So government who has already given money or lands to certain groups are reluctant at the moment to just give so we have some meetings planned, and you know, judging by the president, there has been some sort of recognition and acknowledgement of the Rastafari community there in Uganda. However, because of infighting and so forth, it's not been very progressive to date. But you know, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
last question is
Yes, sir.
what about getting Ugandan passport for the Africans coming from the West, the part of the diaspora?
Well, it's
citizenship.
Yes, it's
But you see, in my mind, I don't think that our Africans coming from the diaspora should, in any African country, in my mind, should have to seek citizenship, because when our foreparents left, they left in chains, and there was no need for a passport. So now we shouldn't have to pay for a passport if you want to return to Uganda or any other African country. I think that it was important that they should gift the ones from the diaspora, whether it's those in America or the Caribbean and so on, South and Central America, they should be gifted land, plus they should be gifted citizenship. That is in my mind. But
Well,
tell me more.
that is exactly my view. And right now, I am requesting an audience with President Museveni pertaining to that very matter. When I pay for no passport, when I come out of the country for no visa, I'm African, and the ancestors them make ideas of right now. So that is the message, that is the reasoning, that is the narrative we want to bring, but we have to do it calmly and in collaboration with ones who are there. So we are in the process of trying to put something together in relation to that very matter, bearing in mind actually that President Museveni's son, who is head of the army himself, in love Rasta. He's been in America a few times, and there had been a plan for Uganda to host the first Rastafari conference on the continent in 2026. So from then till now, it actually was in the paper. It was going to be a general who is in charge of such a conference. And we have brethren in Jamaica from the Ethiopian Raspalos and them Mande, who are waiting and anxious to come in to be part of that conference. But then everything was overshadowed from the election. I don't hear any update as yet pertaining to this conference. And furthermore, the Rastafari brethren in Uganda are a bit wary pertaining to the political context surrounding the whole thing, with them keeping or hosting the conference. So recently, in my absence the other day, Ras Niger and some of the brethren they kept a conference hosted by the local and Rastafari themselves in Uganda, even though it was on a much smaller scale. So because of the political context, you find Rasta, they really want to get involved certain way pertaining to certain things. But according to
any updates. I have not heard any update from the President Museveni's son pertaining to when this conference will be held, where and who will be in attendance. Certainly, there's not been many communication with the Rastafari community coming from the government pertaining to such a conference. Because when we see them do so far, it look like a big concert. But anyway, I'm just looking and I watch Wagwan. I'm leaving in about 2 weeks' time. So obviously I can keep up to date with these and any other information the ones require in relation to Uganda.
Keep the channel. Keep in link with the channel. Keep in link with Rasquasi.
Certainly will. Certainly will.
Yes, and we give thanks for the energy and the positive thoughts. Give thanks.
And give thanks for the idea, patience for listening, and I just look forward to hearing each and every one on the platform.
We love it. We've been having some challenges with technology, but we're working through.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, and then we'll get forward to our brother Bernie. Talk about the importance of the Black British population to this African unity, and also the British Rastafari community, because I don't think, a lot of time I think the British diaspora is left out of the conversation when they are probably the ones that go to Africa the most, who spend the most money, who are most familiar with Africa because of Heathrow and the connectivity to the colonial, former colonial empire. Talk to us about the importance then of Black British people to
Rastafari. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Go ahead.
Give thanks, because this is something that has been on my tongue over the past 4 or 5 years. In fact, I've had great at length reasoning with the said Ras Makapi pertaining to the voicelessness of ones in the UK and in this part of the diaspora. Because when you listen to the narrative about repatriation, reparations, relocations, and so forth, what has happened from then till now, the narrative is only based in and around ones in America. Never have I heard that narrative spoken in relation to what ones have gone through in the UK. What is the narrative? Where is the voice of one's ear in the UK and other places in the West? But generally, London, Birmingham, Nottingham, there's a strong Rastafari community here. Many might agree or disagree whether ones are active now as then or not, but we're there same way. And there is a historical context. So the importance of it, yes, as I rightly point out, ones in the UK are able to travel A, B, C, D. I am blessed to have traveled to Malawi, Uganda, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Cape Town, and other Malawi, and other places. And that kind of experience give I a kind of overview of different parts of Africa in terms of, infrastructure, in terms of, political whatever and so forth, and the peoples, and I Rastafari community who are in and around these places. As Sick Be Nourished project, I deal with the medical side of I needs when I repatriate. So far, even though I are in Africa, we still, even recently, we send a portion of things go down Jamaica for Melissa. We are doing things all over, one away for individuals and for our communities. So for I in the West here, particularly in England, I see that it is important that we are involved, engaged, and also that the narrative from what experiences I facing here in the West, America, one's, as I said, the narrative is always in and around what is taking place in America, what is taking place in the UK, how much ones in London who are, sorry to say, one's passing away left, right, and center from communicable diseases and all forms of things. Ones are here struggling with racism same way. Ones are here wanting to express and go home same way. but there don't seem to be that mechanism in place yet to identify the needs and to then circumvent those needs into actual actions. There's a lot of individual actions. You have the brethren them in Ethiopia, Shashamani, enough ones from London who are there all in the fort right now. Rasfitsi and our ones who even hear them name without that brethren who come from Android, yes, in the UK, without that brethren in the Nyabingi house right now in Shashamani, holding the fort, brethren, silent warrior, Rastafari. So, you know, talking about the integration, I need to integrate amongst I and myself too, first, before we can even look for go integrate on the continent of Africa, even the homelands.
That is what the Lion Voice Network is all about.
Yes, sir.
So we are here doing the work. Sister Laura has joined us again. Sister Laura, are you there? Sister Laura?
Yes, I am.
Yes, please give us your overall assessment of African unity and what the UNIA is doing. What are your chapter doing to further African unity from that side?
Thank you so much. So I would like to say that when we speak of African integration, we're not talking about only administrative paperwork.
Yes.
Or the artificial borders drawn by architects of Babylon to divide the children.
Yes.
We're talking about the divine gathering of the scattered flock, the physical and spiritual unification of the continent and the diaspora.
I'm hearing her. You're not hearing her, Empress Zaditu? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, we hear in the eye. Go ahead.
Okay, I was saying that when we speak of African integration, we're not talking about administrative paperwork or borders drawn by the architects of Babylon to divide their children. We're talking about a divine gathering of the scattered flock, the physical and also the spiritual unification of the continent, but also of the diaspora from the four corners of earth. Sister Audre Lorde once wrote, "The master tools will never dismantle the master's house." So the true and lasting change can't happen if the eyes use the same methods and logic that create the systems built on power and division cannot be fixed by using the same rules or the same tools that have been used before.
Okay, now Wi-Fi the guy. You see, anytime we get too powerful, they cut it, you know. I'm noticing the pattern, but we're gonna move forward. Boy, she was going into some power.
Yeah, I wanted to hear the quote from Audre Lorde.
Yes.
Miguel's wife, because that sounds like a real strong quote.
Yes, and it sounds like the sister is Rastafari when you hear the reasoning.
Yes, you could hear the sound. Yeah, man.
This is why we talk about the Pan-African root of Rastafari, preserving that root and connecting with our brothers. While we wait for Sister Laura, Mike, to come forward, I'm going to go forward to Brother Bernie. Brother Bernie, you know, you've heard our sister from the UK. You've heard a little bit of our sister from Costa Rica. In terms of next steps, practical next step solutions, what are your sounds in terms of where do we need to be focusing the energy as a global African family? Oh, hold on there. One second. Apologies. Or do I have to unmute your line there?
It takes over 2020.
All right,
you hear
start
me,
again.
please?
Yeah, start again. Start
Okay.
again. From
Okay. Yeah. Concerning that, in view of what Ghana current president John Mahama has proposed to put on AU table, that the Caribbean become part of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, is a good knock on the door, which actually is supposed to, liberate all the other aspects of integration. And I think the people, as we African people, with the exception of South Africa that have revolted, uh, generally, as I walk on the ground, in fact, I interact a lot with ordinary people. Uh, People want to be free to interact without some of these things hindering us. But the whole thing has become a policy matter. And as to who actually is behind our government restraining these things also is another study that we need to do. Yeah.
So next steps. What's the solution?
From whatever I have heard at the moment, the last comment that came, the need for us to be talking more and having these kind of forums is remain something that we should push, and also get some of these things. I think it goes on the YouTube, so it quite becomes more public. Yeah, thank you.
We have a question here. The brethren is asking to ask you about the Ajami script uniting the medieval African trade routes stemming from Moorish Andalusian Islamic Golden Age. The Andalusian, are you familiar with these things that the brother is saying?
Yeah, the history isn't hidden, only that we were not taught about this type of roots. Africa, but before the Europeans came here, there are a lot of brisk markets system. That is why we have the Arabs coming, and we have the Romans, the Greeks coming, and we have the Chinese coming, and the Indians coming to the east coast of Africa. Market. In fact, I have done a book which I wanted Professor Chingoyi to read. In fact, it's talking about the traditional market systems, which outdate all the various what we call it
colonial
of the Europeans, and they are still there. In fact, in 2008, during the global crunch, traditional market systems that existed in Africa, you see. So if we have to go back to our traditional systems, in fact, it is true that we can actually rise, and that also would promote us integrating, because the current system of fractured countries is not natural, and it doesn't help us also to know each other as brothers and sisters and as one people. Yeah. Because, take for instance, if you are here in Malawi, you go to Zambia, you go to other countries, Mozambique, the same language is spoken across. You see, the currency kwacha is in Malawi, Zambia, and then Angola. But why is it that it should differ? You see, in terms of how the note itself, why should it differ? You see, so there's something that I've also said that I think we need to reform our education system, and then look at what, at the moment, whatever we are learning is what we are supposed to learn, and not by us. But we need to teach the coming generation, especially with the grace of internet and other things, what the true story about our continent, just as the question actually demand. And see, so it is not something new. Integration is not something new. It is only that we need to restore it. It's not something that hasn't been there. It used to be, but then it was taken away, and we need to bring it back. But the market, when we go to after, it's all about market and trading across each other without restrictions. So what is new? What is new?
Point well taken. Point well taken. Any sound, Sekou, we're gonna wind
Yes,
up
yes.
shortly. Go
That
ahead.
that whole route is very important, especially for African trade and African development. And the mere fact that some of these areas like Malawi and Botswana and so on, and even like you talk about how they speak the similar language, which I guess is a Bantu language. I know some people speak Kiswahili. Over 15 countries, apparently 14 or 15 countries speak Kiswahili, and which is a derivation of the Bantu language. So, what direction can we go as we look forward to African unification? As we look forward to African unification, how do you see it mapping it out, especially for if we just look at it from a regional perspective, Eastern Africa. We see a lot of East Indians being on the continent, especially in the eastern areas. How could the African make use of that whole situation to enrich themselves in terms of trade, in terms of economics, in terms of politics? What is your take?
Did you hear?
Yeah, please, the last part.
Yes, I'm saying
The
that all.
last statement.
Yes. You want me to repeat it?
Yes, the last portion only.
Yes. What I was saying at all in terms of in some of these areas in Eastern Africa we have the language of Kiswahili, which is a derivative of the Bantu language. How do we make use of that connecting route with Africans on the east, where you call the Indian Ocean, etc. How do we make use of it? Because other people are making use of it. The East Indians are making use of it. The Arabs are still making use of it. How do the Africans themselves make use of it to tie in trade, to make trade more possible, make trade more lucrative for Africans within that region? And how could we now also, before looking outside, to have the Arabs, we had a lot of Palestinians, people from Lebanon and all these different places inside the continent, especially East Africa. How could we tie up that eastern region first without having to depend on people from the East Indians and the Lebanese and these other places, the UAE, who has been coming into Africa
Yeah.
and yes,
Yes,
that is
Tifo,
the question.
okay. That's the means of communication, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, there have been a proposal that Kiswahili be made a continental language, and even some have also added languages like Hausa, which is spoken all across South Africa up to Central Africa. we need that. We need a common language that will become the common among us. Whilst we retain still the mother tongue of each indigenous group, is the same that we are now talking English. And so we can select 2 other African languages, which will be taught all across, so that when I meet another person where language becomes a problem, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, because at least besides my Akan language, I can also speak Swahili. If I can speak Chechewa, and I can even speak a language like Zulu, it takes me wider. So I think that is what we can do, because if we continue with the European languages, some people may have the difficulty of learning these languages than our own African language like Swahili, which even I've started trying to also pick it up, because I realized that it's so easy to learn Swahili. It's not a difficult language to learn. Today we are having some countries, China, wanting us to learn Mandarin, which is very, very difficult language to learn. But even that one, they are pushing it. But our even languages are not that difficult. So in addition to this,
I myself have been learning. I myself have been learning Kiswahili.
So well, because all that we are talking is something should unite us, bring us together. And the language, in fact, English, if you meet somebody and the person speaks English, even though you are far apart in terms of nationality, yet at that moment, you feel that the person can understand you, you can also understand that person. It brings you together. So we need something also on the continent which should bring us together, and then we all work around that to speed up the processes that we want. In fact, Swahili is one African language which even South Africa they are willing to learn and introduce in their schools. You see, so other countries, I think, are doing it, but nobody has actually taken the time to evaluate and some of these things, some of these initiatives, so that we can use that to assess our readiness. But I don't think that should actually serve as the basis for our readiness. The readiness should be the mindset of the people, and as I said, that people want it now. People want it now. Yeah. I'm not sure whether
what about the initiative of one currency?
Yes, please.
The initiative of one currency, which I think is very important.
Because if you are talking about commonality, currency is one, because it becomes, even the value of that currency is more weightier than currently the currencies of a lot of African countries. So ECOWAS is taking the initiative that next year they are going to have one currency. I think it's only one country, Guinea, that is dissenting for. I don't know the reason, but the rest are willing to come with the ECO, which would a lot of ECOWAS countries have integrated more. We need to change SIM card. The same SIM card can work through those countries. So ECOWAS have taken a lot of steps forward. East Africa is also working hard, but the region which I have problem with, and they also, some of the countries in that region has more severe problems, especially financial, is Southern Africa. And for that matter, if Southern Africa are able to liberate themselves from institutionalism, which is that is another way of talking about coloniality. You see, if they are able to move themselves out of institutionalism, then a lot of progress is going to happen, bound together. It's going to be more which are very fragile. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that Africa could create its own currency tied to the natural resources that is under the ground, under the earth. Whether it be things like cocoa, whether it be things like gold, whether it be things like uranium, platinum, and etc. But we have the resources. We could have currency that is much more valuable than the euro, than the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, etc. So it's just a matter of time, and it takes a certain amount of confidence in the economic structure, because Africa is the richest piece of land mass in the world. There's no reason why Africa should remain poor. And while we have all the resources that we have, but yet we send out most of our resources. We don't deal with what you call it, downstreaming our resources. We have things like shit. So these are the things I think very important in the years ahead for the young African mind to concentrate on how do we unify Africa, whether it's through currency, through language, through military, etc. You want to expound on that?
Yeah, you see, let me first put this before I forget. You see, I did a study 2018 on SADC. It was the work was on SADC, but it was compared to ECOWAS, and we have cartels, forces behind our government, working on interests, and much of ECOWAS protocols that were delayed were not because the time was wrong, but because cartels were hindering the Nigerians' powerful force within the ECOWAS context, and not to actually promulgate certain protocols or allow them to happen. You see, especially when it comes to the border, dropping border, what we call it, tariffs and the rest, yeah. But at the moment, I haven't even studied whether the force as a cartel has gone down, or either Empress. There are forces, whether they are external, whether they are internal. I think this is something that need time to look at. What prevent countries, governments that have been voted into power not doing the right thing, but then they deviate completely. I think there should be something else that influences government to deviate instead of ensuring that, especially when we are talking of integration, for instance, we need to be pushing, but then are being kept like treasures and not to be thrown away. You see, so we need integration for development and not anything else. If we want to develop as a continent, development comes from how people contribute into the economy freely, without restrictions. And that is why America will always claim that America, but those you know that there is that room and freedom to do anything that you want to do. And it's something I've heard of many people also. So why is it that if that is happening elsewhere, America is an integration of how many states? About over 50 states.
50 states. 50 states. 50
states.
states.
So if that is the case, what is Africa learning from America and EU? You see, this is the question
I think that one of the lessons that Africa could learn from America is the fact that all these 50 states were all colonies at one time. They were all colonies, and the whole idea that we can learn the whole idea of the integration, the federational process. But Africa could go beyond that, because the American system is now is breaking down because of the practice of what you would call monopoly capitalism. The whole idea that is a free for all, and at the end of the day, you have large sectors of people here in North America who is caught up in terms of poverty, no housing, and so on. So Africa need to take if you're going to take lessons from America, is to make sure that we don't take those barbaric and don't act in a barbarous manner as America.
Yeah.
Greetings. I'm not hearing anything. This was a powerful reasoning. I want to give everyone a chance just to say their final sound. I think we lost some of our guests. I want to send apologies for Daddy Bosco. He was on, but the Wi-Fi was kept disconnecting him, so we didn't get to hear from Daddy Bosco. Also, Advocate Sipho let me know that he was having some technical difficulties. So this was one of those mornings. We tried our best to get everyone on. Also, Sister Laura had a lot more to say, but she kept on getting kicked out by the electronics as well. But and I know that even when our brother Bernie was reasoning, at times we were getting interference. So I want to give thanks for the Lion Pride this Saturday morning for all of the patience with the technology. This is, even though it might seem like we're deep in the future, we're still early in these technologies. And we have to give thanks that we can connect over land and sea, that we are talking to brethren and sistren who are literally tens of thousands of miles away, and getting to hear from them straight. So even though the technology was created to divide I and I, we're using it to come together and to hear and to overstand and to put some realistic parameters around repatriation, integration, and these things, because before we can tackle them, we got to identify what the reality is, and then we can come together to create solutions to these things. So I want to give everyone a chance to say a final word. I'm going to start with Empress Zaditu. Empress Zaditu, can you just give us your final words? And then we'll go to Brother Bernie and then Sekou. And this is part one, so we'll have to bring forward the guests when we have better Wi-Fi, better camera, everything. But this was a good start to the reasoning. Empress Zaditu, can you give us your final sound?
Greetings and love each and every one. My apologies, everything just leaked out and it literally just come back in. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say anything specific, but first of all, I just want
just your final sound, just a wrap up on African unity, what day I would like to see, where are we heading, you know, leave us with some sounds of upfulness, you know what I mean?
Yes, well, what I would really like to see is that I and I come together even now, first and foremost, we have to come together, forget all the foolishness and the little isms and schisms that separate I and I, because we are one blood, we just have to just move together in harmony, so that this is very necessary, so that the youths of tomorrow, our youths, them can see so there's a future. If you check a lot of the youths, them now, many of them don't really have that way without to even travel to Africa, to the homelands. And I give thanks that I was given that strength, that energy, for the ancestral guidance to lift I up and bring I into Africa. And through that, it has encouraged many, even the youth them. So that unity begins at home. Charity themselves begins at home. And we need to move together as one. And when we are on the land there, it is very important that we demonstrate certain liberty, so that where we'll lift up I and I self and go in Africa, they don't see I and I coming in as fractured and moving, some way amongst I and I self, and then which then expands out into the community. So I've seen many instances where ones have repatriated, and where they are in Africa or so forth, there is negative word sound towards the liberty or towards something pertaining to what I and I bring there, and vice versa. So I guess my main message really is unification, coming together now, before even, because time is now. The time is now. And I'm just giving thanks for the opportunity, give thanks for the platform, give thanks for each and every one that share them experience and their knowledge systems here today. Give thanks to the brethren them who hosting the event. Perfect.
Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Give thanks, give thanks.
Yes, sir.
Brother Bernie, can you give your final statement?
Yeah, thank all those that participated and listened and watched what is going on. I've been looking at the comments. Very, very. Let's carry on. So,
sorry.
till Babylon falls.
Say that again. Stick up in. Say that again. What did you say about the greatest comment section? What did you say about the greatest comment section on the internet? Please tell me again, please.
There are a lot of comments. One is saying Traore Commander is the only hope for African redemption. Let us never forget the Battle of Quito. Cunavale in Angola. We won that one. We won that one. Pan-Africanism or perish, the Ethiopian World Federation. There are others also. So, let's keep chanting until Babylon falls. Yeah, let's keep chanting until Babylon falls. Thank you.
Okay, I love it. I love it, my brother. And we're gonna have to bring you forward. I love your presentation, because I definitely would like to get the full presentation in its entirety, because I think the information that you're providing, it makes things very touchable in terms of the issues that are in front of us. And I think that in order to change, we have to educate ourselves on the reality. It's one thing to talk about theory and things like that, but in order to really affect change, you need reality and reality-based assessment. So give thanks for that. Sekou,
yes,
if I can just give us your final sound.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful for the panel. Owusu has been very much strong in terms of his proposals, and the sister Laura from Costa Rica and our dear sisters Zaditu. So the reality of it is, I think everyone basically should be in agreement that the main theme, Africa must unite, and the various areas that we need to unite in terms of currency, in terms of government, one government, one military, one language, and so on. These are some of the basic things, the tangibles that need to be achieved as we go forward and as we plod our tracks towards global African diaspora, African unification. And, we all lift up what is going on in the Sahel area today. And we want to also look at the fact that the African Union need to have a new direction, and it's only the young people within the African continent need to raise their voices so Africa could be free and liberated, unified in all forms, in every way. So we ask the young people to make sure they learn all the sciences, not just in terms of natural science, social sciences, and all the different things that is needed in order to help build Africa, so Africa would be could grow even faster and much more stronger than how China has built from 1949 to now. We see China has become a great civilization, and Africa, I think, will be much greater once we put our best foot forward. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. And again, we want to thank everyone who watched live. We do have the greatest comment section on the internet. Big up everyone who participated in the comment section, making this a lively reasoning. We are going to be continuing our reasoning on African unity, liberation, redemption, integration, economic cooperation, all of the things that are going to make a prosperous and beautiful future for Africans home and abroad. We see that the Western architecture that grew up the Bretton Woods system after World War II is collapsing, and likely won't survive this World War III that is unfolding. Recently, we just saw Israel bomb Turkish assets. So we're about to see the Ottoman Empire rise again and enter into the fray. We don't know what's happening, but all of these pieces on the chessboard are in play. The Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, the Chinese Empire. These are civilizational empires that are clashing with the Western colonial states. So we are going to see all of this unfold. And as Africans, either we can get swept up and just be the raw materials and the salvage yard for this clash, or we can use the opportunity where the attention is diverted to expedite our unification and solidify ourselves as a sovereign group, foundational to the entire planet. Everyone started as African, so African is the first world power. And we need to return there again, not to be a vassal, not to be a proxy, but to be a power. And let me see if we can get a final sound. My sister Laura, her perseverance is legendary. She's been getting kicked out repeatedly. Can you say a final word for us, Sister Laura?
Yes, I am very happy to have had the opportunity to share with the eyes. We are and we shall keep working in order to decolonize our minds, to bring the Africans at home and the Africans abroad together, and also we remember and we do know that the master tools will never dismantle the master's house. So the true and lasting change cannot happen if if we continue to use the same methods used by the colonizer and that logic that created the oppression and our separation. Those systems built and
Wow.
Raskwasi, you gotta take that, you gotta get that quote.
Yes.
That quote is a vital quote.
Yes.
And every time she uses that quote, you realize you realize that the guy tried to break down.
Yes.
Why fight the guy?
As soon as she go there, it's a
yeah,
powerful word sound.
So you need that quote. We need that quote.
Yes, I'm gonna ask her to share it, and we'll share it as a community post on YouTube. So look out for that. I'll ask for the quote so we can share it with our YouTube community post. But I really give thanks. I'm humbled as we grow this platform, as we continue to evolve, that we can, we're in a driver's seat, that we can have these kind of reasoning, because we're not going to see this on mainstream media. We're not going to see this conversation on mainstream media, or if we see it, it's going to be framed in a way as to cause division. Sister Laura?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you give us that quote? Start with the quote that you are giving us every time you're going to get cut off.
Yes. So I was saying the quote by Sister Audre Lorde that says, "The master tools will never dismantle the master host." So the true and lasting change cannot happen if we use the same methods and logic that created the oppression. The system built on power and division cannot be fixed by using those same rules. So we look forward, I was saying, to keep connecting, to keep working together. And as we are doing here in Limon, we are part of the African Union, African Diaspora 6th Region High Council, organizing in the Americas and the Caribbean and Europe, in order for us to decolonize our minds first, but also work on how we're going to perform the Sankofa. How we're going to look back at the past, take what is necessary to build this present and the future that the present generation and the future generation deserves. We are no longer waiting for hands out. We are building on our own determination and our ways, our African ways that worked. And we're doing that, going back, taking what we need. And we are sure that our nation at home and abroad will have a bright future, because we are all connecting, we are all learning from one another, and we are building together. And this cannot be stopped. We are awakening, and we will not go back to sleep. So I leave you with one God, one aim, and one destiny.
Wow. I love it. I love it. My sister, if I did not know, I would think you are a Rastafari sister because of how you talk. It sounds so much like I and I family, and just shows the oneness across, our Pan-African families. So I really thankful. And we will, this is just the beginning. We definitely will be linking with the eye on more works, and want to, anytime your branch of the UNIA wants to reach our audience, you have an open door. Are you connected with the UNIA in New York, my sister? Mr. Michael Duncan, we just had him on the program. Are you connected? Is your chapter connected with the New York chapter?
We are connected with chapters from the US, chapters from Jamaica, from Central America. We are connected with each and every UNIA around the world. It's a work in progress, but we do know each one. We know one another, and we are trying our best because we are rebuilding our Liberty Hall. Part of our Liberty Hall was burnt down a couple years back, and we're working in the reconstruction of that. So we are expecting for 2027 to have the inauguration of that rebuilding. And you're all invited from now. Every year on the 31st of August, since 1921, we do commemorate here we call it the Negro, not the Negro, we call it the Day of People of African Descent and our culture. So we do parade in the streets of the country. On the 13th, we ice the red, black, and green flag in the national ombudsperson office, in national institutions, and also in the local governments of the province. In some of them, we have it permanently. They have agreed to have our flag inside and outside of the local governments permanently. It's a work that we're doing because this country and the world at large need to recognize that it was built on the backs and on the strength and on the economy of people of African descent, be it from Africa Direct, from the Caribbean, from wherever. So we are doing these little symbolic things in order to let our youth see and understand and overstand what we have done and what we're doing and what we will never cease to do, because they deserve a better present and future than the one we had. So about me being Rasta, the song says you don't need to be dread to be Rasta. So I am a Rasta at heart. And Rastafarianism opened as well our minds at the Garveyite movement. So we are one. This thought that you can't be one thing if you're not another. We are one people. We just come in different shades, and the boat drop us off in different locations, but our spirit is one. I had the opportunity to be in Ghana a couple years back, in Accra. We went to different places, and the feeling of being at home is overwhelming. And people look at you, they don't know you're not from there. And the love, that is what we need to do, and we need to share among one another, despite the place we are. Nationalities are an invention of colonialism. We were kingdoms, we were people across nations, and we need to keep functioning as such. So thank you so much for the time. We will be in touch. We do have a radio program as well. It's a little space, it's not big, but we shall invite and keep this flame burning. Thank you.
Wow.
Raskwasi.
Yes.
I want to make a point based on what the sister said.
Yes.
That August 31st was suggested by Garvey as one of the things we should celebrate as African independence, Black independence across the Black world.
Okay. So you hear that, family? You hear that, family? We have instructions. I want to thank all of our guests once again. This is another classic. It looks like only thing we know how to do here is classic episodes. I don't know what's happening, but that is what is happening. It's just classic after classic. And it might take the world a while to catch up to what we're doing here, but Rastafari has never been one to wait. You know, we are always at the head. Ras means head. Mr. Bernie, you wanted to say something? You wanted to say something, Brother Bernie? I saw you put up your hand. You wanted to say something? You're muted.
I'm just say one loud.
Yeah, okay. Yes, give thanks. I want the family to know we're just taking a short break here. We're coming forward in a few hours with the Blue Fire Sistren at 5 p.m. this evening. We're doing a double episode. Big up my brethren, Barrington Edwards. I was looking for the last night, Barrington. I don't know where the eye did there last night, but give thanks to CDI Trading. Tonight, 5 p.m., we are reasoning with our sistren. They're celebrating 10 years of the Blue Fire I Treat. They are doing the I Treat this year in the U.S. Virgin Islands, next year, sorry. And we're going to find out what it's all about. And for sistren who want to participate, we'll find out. So join us in a few hours, in about 4 hours. We will be returning. So just take a break. It's a double header today. And we do give thanks for everyone. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you follow, make sure you give a financial contribution if you can to the platform or to our guests. We are bringing the workers to the forefront and they deserve your support. What do I say, Sekou?
Yes, I give thanks. Ashe.
Yes, I. Perfect.
Ashe, the ancestors are with us. The ancestors are with us. All the great ancestors, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is with us. Malcolm X is with us. Amical Cabral is with us. Sipho Kwame Nkrumah with us. And then foremost, the Almighty, the High Majesty Haile Selassie, the first and Empress Menen. They are all with us. So we give thanks.
Yes. And big up again to all of the Lion Pride. We love each and every one of the items, and we look forward to meeting again. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's Voice.
Pan-Africanism. This is Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde coming to you live and direct, New York City, Ethiopian World Federation 2026 conference. The time has come for the Lions to tell our own story, and this is the Lion's Voice.
Empress man, alliance, you're universally unfold, be told, blessed love, this is Etege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lions for I voices and stories to be told. This is the Lion's Voice, Rastafari.
We're endorsing the Lion's Voice. Big up Raspasi. Say it.
Big up Raspasi.
It is time for the lion to tell our own story. Yes, sir.
There is a land far, far away. There's no night. There's only day. Look into the book of life. And you will see that there's a land far, far away. Raspasi! That there's a land far, far away. Speak, lion. Speak, lion. Roar, lion. Roar every time.
I will never stop, hail the Most High. And I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, your youth, yeah. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute ya. Now drop your guard when it come to them a youth ya. The one will laugh I'm same one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Rasta Jai representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. Haile Selassie.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yes, people, this is Michael Shemai representing. I say, hear the Lion Voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice.